The bridge of the Taiguk hummed with dying power as Haiyan piloted the battered warship through the debris field. Earth was gone, not conquered, but erased. 7 billion souls reduced to cosmic dust when the Valkyrie fleet had ignited the sun. Haiyan was 26 years old, an engineer turned reluctant captain of humanity's final military vessel, and he was bringing war to the enemy's doorstep. 3 hours to Valkyrie's prime, reported Dasim from the weapons console, her voice flat with exhaustion. They'd been running on stims and rage for 2 weeks, crossing half the galaxy with a skeleton crew of 43 survivors. The Tagiki was a relic, a destroyer from the early war years that Earth Command had kept in reserve. Now it was all that remained of humanity's navy. Haiyan checked a tactical display. The Valkyrie Homeworld gleamed ahead, a blue jewel protected by orbital stations and patrol fleets. Intelligence said 10,000 ships guarded this system. The Tagiguk was one destroyer with damaged shields and enough antimatter missiles for a single devastating strike. They wouldn't survive, but that wasn't the point anymore. "Captain," detecting a distress beacon, called out Minho from sensors. "Small craft, drifting near the second moon. Valkyrie signature. Ignore it," Haiyan ordered. Every minute delayed gave the enemy time to detect them. They'd used every stealth trick in the book to get this far. "Sir, it's a civilian transport. Life signs are failing." Haiyan's jaw tightened. The Valkyrie had shown Earth no mercy. Their relativistic weapons had turned humanity's cradle into an expanding cloud of plasma without warning, without negotiation. He owed them nothing but vengeance. But Dasim turned to look at him, and he saw something in her eyes that made him pause. She'd lost her entire family, parents, siblings, a fiancé. If she could still see people as people rather than targets, maybe humanity hadn't died completely when Earth burned. "Alter course," Haiyan said quietly. 5 minutes. We check the transport and continue. The derelict transport tumbled slowly in the vacuum, its hull punctured by micrometeorite impacts. Haiyan suited up personally, taking Minho and 2 Marines across on tethers. Inside, the transport was a tomb. 20 Valkyrie civilians floated in the passenger compartment, frozen and lifeless. The species looked almost human. 2 arms, 2 legs, bilateral symmetry, but their skin held a faint silver luminescence and their eyes were proportionally larger, adapted for dimmer light. In the cockpit, Haiyan found the only survivor. She was young, maybe late teens by human standards, wearing the simple robes of a student. Her breathing was shallow, and frost glittered on her silver-tinged skin. The emergency oxygen had run out as ago, but the cold had put her into a hibernative state that Haiyan recognized from the mission briefing. Valkyrie could survive extended anoxia if their body temperature dropped fast enough. "Get her to the ship," Haiyan ordered. "Now." Minho hesitated. "Sir, she's the enemy. She's a kid who's going to die if we don't move. Go." They brought her aboard and rushed her to medical. Dr. Bowman, the Taiguk's only remaining physician, worked frantically to warm her core temperature and restore oxygen flow. Haiyan watched through the viewport, knowing this was madness. They were hours away from a suicide run, and he'd just brought an enemy combatant onto his ship. No, not a combatant. A girl, a survivor, like them. After 20 minutes, her eyes fluttered open. They were remarkable eyes, deep violet with flecks of gold. She looked around the medical bay in confusion, then terror when she saw Haiyan's face through the window. She tried to sit up, but the restraints held her gently in place. Haiyan entered slowly, hands visible and empty. "Easy, you're safe. We found your transport." She spoke rapidly in Valkyrie, the language flowing like water. Haiyan didn't understand the word, but fear was universal. He could see it in every line of her body. "Dasim, bring up the translation software," he said into his comm. A moment later, his tablet chirped. The eye had been trained on intercepted Valkyrie communications, though its accuracy was questionable. He held up the tablet. "What is your name?" The device translated his words into Valkyrie text, that scrolled across the screen. The girl stared at it, then at him. She spoke again, slower this time. The tablet displayed, "You are human. Why save me?" It was a good question. Hyan didn't have a good answer. "Because I could," he said simply. The translation seemed to confuse her. She studied his face as if searching for deception. When she spoke again, the tablet read, "My name is Lyra, student of xenobiology. The transport? My family?" Hyan shook his head slowly. He didn't need words for that. Lyra's luminescent skin flickered, dimming. Tears welled in those violet eyes. Grief was universal too. Over the next hour, as Dr. Bowman monitored Lyra's recovery, Hyan returned to the bridge. The crew had questions. Why had they picked up a Valkyrie? What did the captain plan to do with her? Could they trust her not to compromise the mission? "She doesn't even know what ship she's on," Hyan said. "We proceed as planned." But it felt wrong now. Before, the Valkyrie had been faceless monsters who destroyed Earth. Seeing Lyra crying for her family made them people again. People who'd killed 7 billion humans, yes, but people nonetheless. Dasim approached him quietly during the watch change. "You're thinking about calling it off. I am thinking we might be about to murder 10 million civilians to avenge our own dead civilians," Hyan admitted. "That's what we planned. Hit the antimatter processing facility in the capital. The explosion would devastate half the planet. They didn't hesitate when they killed Earth, I know. But we're not them, are we?" Dasim was silent for a long moment. "I don't know what we are anymore, sir. But I know Jiang, my fiancé, he would have saved that girl too. He was studying to be a teacher. He believed people could be better than their worst impulses." Her voice cracked. "I want to believe that too. But it's hard." Hyan understood. The rage that had fueled their desperate flight across the stars was simple and pure. This complexity was excruciating. He went back to medical. Lyra was sitting up now, still connected to monitors, but much stronger. She tensed when he entered, but didn't shrink away. Using the tablet, Hyan asked, "Why were you traveling?" Lyra's response came haltingly through the software. "University exchange program. Station at Third Moon. Study of adapted organisms in low gravity." She paused, then added, "Why attack my people? We know humans were destroyed. Your planet burned. We saw broadcasts. But we did not do this." Hyan felt his anger surge. "Your ships." "No." Lyra was more animated now, speaking quickly while the tablet struggled to keep up. "Not our ships. Valkyrie military is defense only. We have no relativistic weapons. No world burners. We are scientists, artists, farmers, not warriors." The translation had to be wrong. Then who destroyed Earth? "The broadcasts," said Crethany Empire, claimed responsibility. "They destroy your homeworld as message. Show other species what happens to those who refuse subjugation. Valkyrie are next on their list. We are gathering fleets for defense, not attack." Hyan stared at her. His mind reeled. The Tagak had been in deep space on patrol when Earth died. They'd picked up scattered distress signals, seen the sensor data showing Valkyrie ship signatures near Earth's system. Command had assumed. They'd all assumed. "Show me," he demanded. "Prove it." Lyra looked at the restraints. "My personal terminal. In my belongings from transport." Hyan retrieved the device personally. It was elegant technology, thin as paper and flexible. Lyra's fingers danced across it, pulling up news feeds, official government broadcasts, military advisories. Even with the shaky translation software, the story became clear. The Crethany Empire had been expanding for decades. They'd absorbed dozens of species through military conquest. 3 months ago, they demanded Earth's surrender. When humanity refused, they'd made an example. The attacking fleet had used stolen Valkyrie transponders to disguise themselves, ensuring that surviving human forces would strike at the Valkyrie, softening up another target for Crethany expansion. "We are not your enemy," Lyra said quietly. We grieve for Earth too. Your people were reaching out across stars, making art and science. Like us. Now you are gone, and we will be next, unless we stand together. Hyan felt hollowed out. All their pain, their rage, their desperate need for vengeance aimed at the wrong target. The Tagak was hours away from murdering millions of innocents while the true culprits laughed. He called an emergency crew meeting. Showing them Lyra's evidence was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Some refused to believe it. Others wept openly. Dassam sat very still, her face carved from stone. So what do we do now, Captain? Asked Minho. We can't fight the Crethany. We're one ship full of very angry humans, Hyan said slowly, with enough antimatter to crack a planet. The Crethany think we're extinct or scattered. They won't expect us. He looked at his crew. I can't order this. It has to be a choice. We can hide, try to disappear. Or we can make the real enemy pay. The vote was unanimous. Over the next 6 hours, the dynamics on the Tagak shifted completely. Lyra was released from medical and given limited access to the ship. She was brilliant. Her xenobiology studies gave her insight into comparative technology that proved invaluable. When Hyan explained their plan to strike at the Crethany staging base in the Corvin Nebula, she immediately began suggesting modifications to improve their stealth approach. Valkyrie sensor technology more advanced in some ways, she explained through the increasingly accurate translation AI. I can help reconfigure your emissions profile, make you appear as space debris. She worked side by side with Dassam at the science station, 2 women from different worlds united by loss. Hyan watched them collaborate and felt something twist in his chest. Hope, maybe, or the beginning of healing. He spent more time with Lyra than strictly necessary. She was curious about everything human, their culture, their history, their biology. In return, she taught him about Valkyrie society. They were a peaceful species, having unified their homeworld 3 centuries earlier. They'd met other spacefaring races and formed a loose confederation of worlds. Now the Crethany threatened to shatter that peace. Your eyes change color when you feel strong emotion, Hyan observed during one late watch. They were in the observation deck, surrounded by stars. Lyra's eyes shifted from violet to a deeper purple, almost indigo. Yes, we cannot hide our feelings like humans. Your face is difficult to read sometimes. Right now I'm feeling grateful, Hyan said. You saved us from becoming monsters. You saved me first. From cold and death. Lyra moved closer. In the low light, her skin's luminescence was pronounced, casting soft silver light. Hyan, see, what will you do after? If we survive, I haven't thought that far ahead. You should. Future is important. Gives reason to survive present. It was wise advice from someone so young. What about you? What's your future? Before, I wanted to research, teach, maybe explore new worlds. She smiled sadly. Now I want to help rebuild. Both our species. We have lost much, but maybe together we lose less. The intimacy of the moment settled over them like a blanket. Hyan found himself noticing details. The way her hair caught the starlight. The musical quality of her voice even through translation. The earnest intelligence in those color-shifting eyes. I'm glad we found you, he said quietly. I am glad you are not only soldier. You are also person who chooses compassion over revenge. Lyra's hand touched his arm lightly. That is rare, precious. The mission took on new meaning after that. It wasn't just revenge anymore, it was protection. The Crethany base in the Corvin Nebula coordinated attacks across 8 sectors. Destroying it would buy the Valkyrie Confederation time to mobilize their defense fleets. It would honor Earth's dead by saving others from the same fate. The Tagak slipped into the nebula like a ghost. Lyra's modifications worked perfectly. The dense gas clouds hid them from long-range sensors, while the modified emissions signature made them invisible at close range. They drifted past 3 Crethany patrol groups without detection. The base itself was massive, a constructed moon hosting thousands of warships and tens of thousands of troops. Hyan felt his throat tighten. The plan called for ramming the antimatter missiles directly into the base's power core. The resulting explosion would vaporize everything within 1,000,000 kilometers, including the Taiguk. He hadn't told Lyra that part. None of them had discussed it, but everyone knew. This was always a one-way trip. Except Lyra wasn't stupid. She cornered Hyan in his quarters 8 hours before the attack window. "You were planning to die," she said flatly. "All of you were planning to make it count." No. Her eyes blazed bright gold anger. He'd learned. "This is waste. Stupid human sacrifice complex. We don't have enough fuel to escape the blast radius. The missiles have to be guided in manually. The math is simple. Then change math." Lyra pulled up holographic displays, her fingers flying. "Here you program missiles for delayed detonation. Here you use gravitational slingshot around Nebula's neutron star to gain velocity for escape. Difficult navigation? Yes. Impossible, no?" Hyan stared at the calculations. She was right. It would require split-second timing and precision flying that would make their approach look simple, but it was theoretically possible. "Why do you care?" he asked. "You've known us for 6 days." Lyra's skin flickered through several colors before, settling on a soft rose he'd never seen before. The translation AI helpfully informed him this indicated affection and vulnerability. "Because universe already took my family," she said. "And I find I do not wish to lose you too." She stepped closer. "I know this is strange. We are different species, but feelings do not care about logic. You showed me kindness when you could have left me to die. You chose truth over vengeance. You see me as person, not enemy. How can I not care what happens to you?" Hyan's breath caught. He'd been so focused on the mission, on processing Earth's destruction, that he hadn't let himself acknowledge what was growing between them. But she was right. Different species, different worlds, yet something fundamental connected them. "The human word is soulmate," he said softly. "Someone whose spirit resonates with yours. I didn't think I'd ever find that, especially not now. Velkari have similar concept. Life bond." Lyra's hand found his. Her skin was cooler than human normal, and the bioluminescence created a gentle glow between their touching palms. "We believe some souls are crafted from same cosmic material, destined to find each other across any distance. That's beautiful. So is your face when you smile, which is rare. I would like to see it more." Hyan did smile then, genuinely, for the first time since Earth died. "Then I guess we better make sure we survive this." They presented the modified plan to the crew. The reaction was mixed, some relieved, others oddly disappointed to lose their martyrdom. But Dasim spoke up firmly. "Earth is gone. Humanity is these 43 people. If we die, that's it. Everything our species ever was ends in this nebula." She looked at Lyra. "But maybe humanity can be more than just humans now. Maybe we can be the ones who chose to live, to build something new. I think my Jang would like that." The mission launched according to Lyra's revised plan. Hyan piloted the Taiguk personally through the attack run, threading between Krethni patrol patterns with Lyra at the navigation console. The antimatter missiles deployed perfectly, each one locked onto critical targets throughout the base. Then came the hard part. They had 8 minutes to clear the blast radius. The neutron star's gravity well would accelerate them to incredible speeds, but the course required passing within 50,000 kilometers of its surface. The tidal forces would tear the ship apart if Hyan's piloting was off by even a fraction of a degree. "Trust yourself," Lyra said beside him. Her hand covered his on the control stick. "Trust us." Hyan dove the Taiguk toward the neutron star. Alarms screamed as gravity stressed the hull. The view screen showed space distorting around them, light bending at impossible angles. Behind them, the first missile struck. The explosion was biblical. The base's antimatter reserves detonated in chain reaction, creating a temporary star that outshone the nebula. Shock waves raced after the Taigak at near-light speed. 30 seconds to slingshot point, Lyra called out. Hull stress at 90%. The neutron star filled their vision, an impossible sphere of crushed matter rotating hundreds of times per second. Its magnetic field was tearing at their shields. Hyan's hands moved with desperate precision, making micro-adjustments. 10 seconds. Hull stress critical. Aft shields failing. The Taigak whipped around the neutron star, gravity grabbing them and hurling them outward like a stone from a sling. The acceleration crushed everyone into their seats. Hyan's vision grayed at the edges. He felt Lyra's hand tighten on his. Then they were clear, rocketing away from the expanding fireball at velocities that would carry them out of the nebula in hours. Behind them, the Carethony base was gone, utterly destroyed, along with 2/3 of their regional fleet. The bridge erupted in ragged cheers. They'd done it. Struck a genuine blow against Earth's true killers. And they'd survived. Hyan slumped in his chair, adrenaline draining away. Lyra was suddenly there, her arms around him, her cool skin against his overheated face. They held each other while the crew celebrated around them. "I was terrified," she whispered. "I thought the math was wrong, that I would lose you. Your math saved us all." Hyan pulled back to look at her. Her eyes were the soft rose color again. "Where do we go now?" "I transmitted our sensor logs to Valkyrie Defense Command during the attack. They know truth now, that humans still exist, that we are allies against Carethony." She smiled. "They are sending ships to meet us, offer sanctuary. And after that? After that, we build future, together, if you wish." Hyan kissed her. It felt both strange and completely natural, her lips cooler than human, the bioluminescence bright against his closed eyelids. When they parted, the bridge crew was diplomatically studying their consoles while trying to hide smiles. "Yes," Hyan said. "I wish." 6 months later, Hyan stood on Vulcaris Prime's surface for the first time. The capital city was beautiful spires of living crystal that hummed with harmonics in the wind. The Taigak was in orbital dock, undergoing repairs and upgrades with Valkyrie technology. The crew had been offered homes, resources, and most importantly, hope. The war against the Carethony continued. But now humanity and Valkyrie fought together. The 43 survivors of Earth had become a symbol proof that even genocide couldn't extinguish a species if others chose compassion over indifference. Lyra took Hyan's hand as they walked through gardens filled with plants from a dozen worlds. She'd been teaching him Valkyrie while he taught her more human languages. They were planning to write a joint paper on cross-species cooperation and cultural integration. "Do you think about Earth?" she asked gently. "Every day. It gets easier, but it's always there." Hyan squeezed her hand. "I'm learning to carry the grief without letting it consume me." "You help with that. You help me too, with my family's loss. With believing future can be good despite present pain." They'd learned so much about each other. How Valkyrie processed emotions through skin color changes. How humans expressed feelings through subtle facial muscles. How both species valued art, music, connection. The things that made life worth living beyond mere survival. A message chimed on Hyan's comm. "Dassam, with news from the astronomical surveys." 3 more human ships had been found in deep space scout vessels that were far enough out to survive. Earth as destruction. The survivors numbered in the hundreds now. "We're not extinct," Hyan said wonderingly. "Scattered, traumatized, but alive, and growing stronger. My people's geneticists say that with proper support, human population can rebuild. Not to billions overnight, but enough. Enough to endure." "What about us?" Hyan asked. "Human and Valkyrie, can we?" He didn't know how to finish the question. They'd been together for months now, their bond deepening daily. But the biological realities remained unclear. Lyra's eyes shifted to soft gold joy. "I was going to wait to tell you. Research team completed study. Our DNA is compatible enough. With medical assistance, we could have children, hybrid offspring. Not easily, but possible. Hyan felt his heart race. A future, not just for him, but for a family. For a new generation that would carry both species' legacies. Is that something you'd want? He asked carefully. With you? Yes, maybe not now, we are young, and there is much to do. But someday, she smiled. I think our children would be beautiful and strong, the best of both worlds. That evening, as twin moons rose over Valkyrie's prime, they stood together watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the Krothini Empire continued its expansion. Somewhere, other human survivors searched for purpose and home. Somewhere, the future waited, uncertain but full of possibility. Hyan pulled Lyra close, feeling her luminescent warmth against him. They'd found each other in the wreckage of unimaginable loss. Two people from different worlds who'd chosen to see past hate and fear. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For believing I could be more than just a weapon. For showing me that survival isn't enough, we have to live. Lyra's eyes swirled with colors he'd learned meant deep contentment. You showed me same. That even in darkest moment, kindness is possible. That hope is choice, not circumstance. They'd been called weak humanity and Volcari both. Fragile species who relied on compassion instead of conquest. But standing there together, Hyan understood a different truth. It took no strength to destroy. True power was choosing to build, to connect, to love despite every reason not to. The last ship from Earth had arrived at an alien homeworld carrying war. But it left carrying something more precious. The promise that from ashes and grief, from across the impossible distance between stars, two souls could find each other and create something beautiful. That was the real human strength. Not the weapons or the ships or the defiant rage. It was the stubborn insistence that even in a universe full of cruelty, kindness mattered. That love could bridge any divide. That tomorrow was worth fighting for, not with hatred, but with hope. Hyan kissed Lyra under alien stars, and for the first time since Earth died, felt truly alive.